Also in Iran, a renowned environmental activist and professor, Kavous Seyed-Emami, has died while in prison. It is the latest in a recent string of detainee deaths. Emami is Iranian and a Canadian national. He was detained and charged with espionage by the Iranian government last month, along with several other environmental activists.
Iranian authorities say he killed himself, distraught over his own confession and statements against him. But grieving family and friends alike here in Canada doubt that account.
This was a very happy, content man, loved his wife, loved his country, loved his work.
I think there's every reason to believe that we're faced with a cover-up here.
Alex Neve of Amnesty International says the rush to declare Seyed-Emami's death a suicide is the first in many clues things aren't as they seem.
Two days after the funeral, they had the audacity to show on the IRIB, which is obviously run by the Iranian regime, a propaganda documentary or film where they are now laying all these accusations, how they caught this group of spies, and without any kind of evidence. This is 2 days after his funeral, after he died. So not only are you not taking any responsibility or trying to acknowledge and admit the mistakes you made, but doubling down and then attacking my father when he was dead and when he could no longer defend himself.
In all instances, the Iranian government has refused to allow any kind of independent review or investigation. And now with Dr. Seyed-Emami, the family is under pressure that if they want to get his body back, they have to agree that there will be no independent autopsy of any kind.
We never really heard from RCMP in any way, and we had no idea how they could help or whether they want to help, or whether they were involved or not, whether they wanted to keep us safe after coming back to Canada. We have no clue.
We call on the Iranian government to conduct a thorough and transparent investigation into his death. We, on behalf of the Canadian government, we are asking for answers, Mr. Speaker.
Iran's notorious Evin prison was built during the time of the Shah to hold maybe 300 people. That ballooned to 15,000 after the Islamic Revolution. Other prominent Iranian-Canadians who've done time there include journalist Maziar Bahari, who says he was tortured repeatedly before his release. And then there's photojournalist Zara Kazemi.
Photojournalist Zara Kazemi was taking pictures at a demonstration in Tehran. She was arrested, beaten, and tortured in custody. The doctor attending her death said she'd been brutally raped.
They brought her in on a stretcher.
Speaking through a translator, Sharam Azam was blunt.
It was the first time that I saw somebody who was being tortured. It was so shocking for me.
Azam went on. Her nose had been broken. She'd vomited blood. Her left eardrum ruptured. Bruises on her face, her ribs, her abdomen. Deep scratches on the back of her neck. One of her toes had been, in his words, completely smashed.
And a big legal battle is set to begin in Montreal today. The son of Zara Kazemi is suing Iran for the arrest, torture, and death of his mother in 2003.
Well, the problem, in a sense, has always been the State Immunity Act, which essentially prevents any Canadian from suing a foreign government.
Now, the Canadian government had intervened because they were concerned that if Hashemi won this case, that Canada would lose immunity abroad and also hurt relations as well. Supreme Court of Canada says that the State Immunity Act is constitutional and prohibits any civil lawsuits against a foreign country from proceeding. So in this case, you cannot sue Iran or the Iranian officials. It can change the laws if it chooses to do so. If these types of cases come forward again and people like Kazemi's son want to sue a foreign country, the laws will have to be changed.
During this time, we had conversations with GAC, Global Affairs Canada, but to be honest, we never felt that much support. We never felt that we were being heard. We never felt fully acknowledged, supported. We had to chase them often to see what happened, rather than them being proactive and giving us constant updates. And so it was very incredibly frustrating just to see what is our country doing for us. Justice, that's a hard question. What is justice for us? The Iranian regime has done this so many times for so long that it would be almost foolish for us to wait for them to admit their fault, admit their mistake. That's how they've remained in power, by consistently having an enemy, by consistently wanting to create these stories out of thin air, all the lies and coercion and manipulation. And so how can I expect justice from such a regime? I do expect the Canadian government to continue to put pressure on Iran, for European intermediaries to put pressure on Iran. You know, the ones who have more close relations with Iran, Italy, Germany, France, you know, Switzerland, these countries who are acting as bridges for Canada to communicate with Iran, to also continue to put pressure. Iran cannot just do whatever it wants and get away with it, that they have to remain accountable, and they need to face the consequences for their human rights abuses. This has to stop. I mean, and just statements, you know, aren't enough. There has to be real, measurable, solid action. This is a message that I want to send to families, to remain close together, to remain connected, to remain in touch, to be voices for the voiceless. And that what you are doing is incredibly courageous, incredibly a gift to so many others who might have also been oppressed by this regime, but did not have the ability to speak up. So the fact that you have such a large campaign, you have raised so much awareness in Canada, in Iran, internationally, I think is terrific. And I hope that you continue to do the work that you're doing, even if you might at times feel frustrated, hopeless, and like nothing is working. But I would continue to do exactly what you are doing, and you can always count on me.